It's almost time for the Buckeyes to get back on the field. It's a matchup against the FCS school in Youngstown State. This is also a team that the Buckeyes can show them improvements while they're playing the game. What are your expectations for the Buckeye game tomorrow? We'll dive into ours today on Locked On Buckeyes.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to the episode of Locked On Buckeyes, part of Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. It is a Friday, September 8th in the year 2023, and this episode is brought to us by our friends at Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. During today's episode, it's been quite a bit of time between today's guest and I have gotten together to do a show. It's my guy, Jeff Hunt. He is back. It's week 2 of the season, but it's Jeff's first appearance on Locked On Buckeyes during the 2023 college football season. Jeff, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Jay, thanks for having me back on. Thanks to the Locked On Network for having me on. I love doing this. I love getting the text from you. It's all, we chat about the games mostly afterwards through the week. But then when I get the, hey, can you do such and such time on such and such day? I'm like, yes, you know it. I'm very proud to do it. Everybody, all my friends and family are like, it's awesome when I'm on here. They all huge fans of Jay and your family. So it's great to be back. Tough week for Buckeye fans. A lot of questions unanswered. But overall, hey, we just gotta say this: we're 1-0, and we got to move on to the Penguins.
That's it. You're 1-0. Like, out of all the things that came out of the game a week ago, once you move all the dust away, what is still there? A 1-0 unblemished record. And Jeff, I do believe that's a building block. That is something that the Buckeyes can have belief in and have hope in. Like, even though we didn't play our best game, even though we didn't play Buckeye football, even though we didn't really play decent football on offense, we still won the game. We're trying to find all the good things to talk about here because the game a week ago was not pretty the entire time. But, Jeff, the Buckeyes won the game, and they have a chance to go 2-0.
Yeah, it's great, and that's what's important. I mean, you got to, especially the first few weeks of the season, you have to get the victory. You just have to get the victories. I mean, I'm not even throwing shade, but just ask Clemson. Like, that's not a better start.
That's it.
I at the end of the year, the Clemson could be a good team, but they've got that 0 right now, and in the win column. So that's the other side of the story for these. We're talking about the contenders. The Buckeyes, honestly, in my opinion, as far as the 1-0 contenders, had one of the worst weeks, but they're still 1-0. Everything's out in front of them. They got a lot of work to do. We're going to find out a lot about Ryan Day and his coaching staff this week. That's what we're going to learn about this week. I don't really put this on the players. Like, I think the players did what they were taught. I don't know exactly what they were taught over the summer, but this coaching staff, we're going to find out what they can do in basically 4 days.
Let's start right there, Jeff. Let's not go anywhere. Let's not go to the players' expectations for this game. You hinted at it. What are your expectations for the coaches tomorrow against Youngstown State?
I think they got to have a plan, Jay. That's the whole thing last week. Like, it was so disjointed. It felt like they were like, okay, we're just going to go out and we're going to run the ball a certain way. Then we're going to take shots. Really wasn't coming around. McCord didn't look super comfortable, and that's not a shot at McCord. That's a shot of, like, what did you do?
Right.
Like, what were you doing for the last 6 months that you pretty much knew you were going to be the starting quarterback? Like, you didn't look like the starting quarterback. And I know, like, yes, do I want to give him a break for, his first start and being away and all these things? Of course I do. I understand. But I got to look at the other side of it and be like, well, I don't know. Penn State's quarterback didn't have that problem. A lot of, Alabama, Milroe didn't have a problem down in Alabama. Like, Georgia, did the usual. And that's to say preparedness. Like, the whole thing was preparedness. So what we need to see this week is a plan. Yeah. We need to see, I don't care if it's scripted, what it has to be. We need to see, like, 5 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards, 15 yards, 7 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards, touchdown. That's what we need to see. Like, there has to be, we have to be able to get a feel. Like, as fans that watch a team every week, we should get a feel for, like, oh, this is when they'll do this. This is when they'll do this. They got to have something on the chalkboard besides I don't know, throw in another guy or keep running it or it's time to like. I thought it's sad to say, but two of the kind of let down plays were the touchdowns as far as like just try to get the touchdown, give it to mine, and let's get out of here rather than do something cute or come up with something better. That's where you're tight end. That's where we thought the tight end would score this year. That's where, I mean, it's a total mismatch at wide receiver, and yet they had to just lean on like, we got to get the touchdown and get out of here. So this week, what I need to see a plan. I need to see the offensive line play better.
Oh my gosh. Gosh.
But it's sad that week 2 shouldn't be a practice for a team that had all summer to practice. It should be over in the second quarter and everybody get out and be laughing and on the sideline. But it's not. It's not what it's going to be. It's a learning today. It's going to be a learning game tomorrow.
Jeff, when it comes to my expectations for tomorrow's game for the coaches, let's start right there. Ryan Day, Jim Knowles, Brian Hartline, and the others. I want to figure out what is your plan situationally in the game. You tell me there's a quarterback battle, but Kyle McCord plays all but 6 snaps in that game. That's not a QB battle. That is Kyle McCord being the starting quarterback. Maybe you're trying to keep Devin Brown a little bit in tuned or whatever the case may be. That's not really a quarterback battle in the way things went a week ago. I want to know situationally, goal line, short yardage, is Mayan the guy if he's in given the ball? Is Chip the guy if he's in given the ball? You don't have to bring in Devin Brown for, 4th and 2 or whatever short yardage, just trying to run a QB power. You don't have to. Even though he might be a good option, he ain't the best option. You got Chip train him. You got Mayan Williams. Put those guys in there and let them get the tough yards. With the running backs, plan. Is Henderson going to start? If he's going to start, is he going to get pulled at a certain pitch snap count? Or is it going to be, hey, if you're not doing well, we're going to take you off the field. Or we're going to play you a lot like our featured back, regardless of how you play. Mayan Williams, is he healthy? Jeff, a week ago, pregame, sitting there, my wife and I sitting there, my brother and my sister-in-law watching the warm-ups, and Mayan walks on the field, jogs on the field. Didn't take long for me to think he's not healthy. But I was like, okay, maybe my mind is wrong. No, he wasn't healthy. He did play in the game, got 2 touchdowns, but he's not full strength. If Mayan's at full strength, is he your featured back at any point in the game? Because to me, the battle at running back, it shouldn't be Henderson or Williams. It should be Williams or Trainum. Like, it should be Chip and Mayan battling for the number 1 spot. If one guy does not, the other one fills in where he needs to. I need a plan, Jeff, in short yardage or even any portion of the game. Are you going to get your best receiver the ball? Receivers, plural. Because one of the biggest complaints I had a week ago, and I'm going to have it again tomorrow, is if all of a sudden Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Ibuka don't get the ball a lot, don't get the ball enough. Both of those guys should have 5 to 8 catches a game, 1 touchdown apiece. That's not anything crazy to say. That should be reality. And against a bad opponent, an FCS opponent in Youngstown State, those are the things we should expect to see. But also, we're going to find out what the coach's plan is tomorrow. If that's not the plan, Jeff, and they're still trying to work things out against this opponent, you and I might have a longer text conversation than normal. It'll be a very frustrating one to have because we expect better from this football team, and we should see better tomorrow.
And we need to see better from the interior of the line too.
Oh my gosh!
Keep bouncing it to the outside running game is not going to win you a national championship. Like, the interior got pushed around. I mean, Indiana's middle linebacker. I apologize for getting his name at this point. Looked like one of the best players on the field, and
was that number 44?
Yeah, number 44.
He was a dog, man.
But the thing is, he was just doing what he's supposed to do. Which, if I know that's what he's supposed to do, I know the read. Like, why doesn't the guard? Why doesn't the center? Why doesn't Day? Why doesn't anybody understand this whole you big guys just stand up and we'll bounce it to the outside and hope our athletes can make some space? Worked against Indiana. It's going to work against Youngstown State. Boy, that's not going to work at all against good defenses. And they've got at least 4 really good teams coming up this year that if they try to use this makeshift running game, it's going to get shut down. This isn't a slight on the kid himself. Henderson looks healthy. I do believe he was hurt last year, but the thing is, if it's not happening, it's not happening.
Right.
That's the reality of college football. It stinks. But you can't keep trying to force, he's obviously got a lot of skills, but it's just not whoever's fault it is, it doesn't matter. If it's not happening, it's not happening. Because like Ohio State's not a team we can just keep experimenting with. That's not what we expect. We hear for 4 months, all these 4-stars, all these 5-stars, all these players, these guys are going to be dogs, blah, 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 blah. And then the game starts and they look like an average Big Ten team. Here's what I said, Jay. I know we keep talking about last week, but this is what my worry is. If you ask me after week 1, Ohio State looked like the 6th best team that'll be in the Big Ten next year. They look worse than, Oregon. They look worse than Washington, USC, Michigan, Penn State. All these teams, they had the worst start. And that's the reality of next year. And that's, if I can see it and you can see it, and then all we got all week from Ryan Day was all the typical, like, almost excuses, And like, so this week, end the excuses, Day. Give me 3 drives in a row to where you obviously look better than Youngstown State and they don't deserve to be on the field. And everybody's like, this game stinks. That's the type of game. And then do whatever you want. Give me 3 serious drives, then do whatever you want.
You got to hear some of our expectations for the coaches, a lot of them on the offense for the Buckeyes. What do we want to see from Kyle McCord and Devin Brown tomorrow? We'll dive into that next on Locked on Buckeyes. This episode is brought to you by Nutrafol. You don't have to choose between better hair growth and your health. Nutrafol provides a whole body health approach for men that promotes healthier hair. No drugs, no compromises, just better hair. Men think losing their hair is inevitable. Take control of your hair's future with Nutrafol science-backed hair growth supplement for men. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement, clinically shown to improve your hair growth, visible thickness, and visible scalp coverage. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements use physician-formulated, natural, science-backed ingredients. Their drug-free, patented technology provides consistent, reliable results without compromising your sexual health. Take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com/men and enter the promo code LOCKEDONCollege. Find out why 4,000 healthcare professionals recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com/men, spelled Nutrafol.com/men, and enter promo code LOCKEDONCollege. That's Nutrafol.com/men, promo code LOCKEDONCollege. The Ohio State Buckeyes play Youngstown State tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern Time. Catch every snap of the Buckeyes' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Buckeyes. Jeff, I love expectations. I love having you on the show. And I'm curious, we didn't really dive into this in our conversations throughout the week in regards to the quarterback. In my rewatch, was comforted. I told somebody this prior to them listening or watching the rewatch pod that I put out, I believe, on Tuesday. In the moment, I was a little frustrated. Missing throws that I do believe he can make, some bad reads. But when I went back to the rewatch, bro, that O-line was bad. And I'm not just going to be like, hey, it's Simmons, a new guy from San Diego State, or Donovan Jackson, a left guard. No, I do believe all 5 guys had an issue in the miscommunication, missed reads, doing double teams and not going to the second level in some run plays. O-line was not up to par at all. Granted, it's game 1, but you still expect better from the Buckeyes offensive line. I do think, Jeff, that impacted negatively how Kyle McCord played a week ago. Another week of practice, another week of game preparation as a starter. I do think, Jeff, my thought is that we will get improved quarterback play from Kyle McCord. For Devin Brown, buddy, I don't know what we're going to get.
Yeah. And that was the thing. I didn't jump off the boat on McCord. I thought, like, he obviously has fantastic arm talent, which that's a good start. Like, it just really is. It's a simple baseline. What kind of bothered me about it was they called a game plan for him that was based on they had a dominant, offensive line, and they didn't. But what makes me think is go across the country, a couple hours earlier, I watched Colorado, who does not have a great offensive line, have a completely different game plan to not put so much pressure on them. And they had a quarterback throw for 500 yards. Like, I know that Day didn't want to come out and let McCord throw up 50 times and do all that. And he could. I really do believe they could have done that. But here's the thing, like that might just be what you have to do for a while. Like if you can't keep risking these games assuming your offensive line is going to be, this big tough dominant, thing and they probably will by the end of the season. They have proven to do that over the years. That wasn't what happened. And when you're McCord and you have 44, look, and that at any second, he's going to be in your face. I think it did stress him out, which is good. That's good. That's a good learning experience to be like, you don't want him to be comfortable. You want him to think like every play, like, it's not going to be as easy as it was in practice. I expect him to play. He's going to play much better this week. It's a much worse team. And he already had some arrows slung at him. Again, I'm fortunate that he didn't play a good team last week and all these things. But you also at some point, like, you have to let this guy sling it. We saw him we saw Day try to kind of slow play Stroud at the start, and it was the same stuff. We were after the Minnesota game. We were both sitting there like, man, I don't know. After the next game, like, man, I don't know, because you got to let this kid go. Like, this is what these guys do. This is why you bring these guys to these schools, to let them be them, and it'll start flowing if you just, let him go. So I expect him that his stat line is going to be better. He's going to play better. I was impressed with, he threw a couple throws over the middle into the bucket that I was like, okay, we're fine. Like if you can make that throw, we're going to be fine. We talked a lot today that the big story right before we started the show was that they admitted that the Harrison play should have been a touchdown. Yes, and that would have changed his mentality and his comfort, but he also has to be able to shake that stuff off and do it the next play. That's what the great ones do. Like if you think of a Justin Fields, man, nothing rattled that dude. Injury, penalties, whatever, he would come back and get it. I expect to see McCord will have a fine game, but I think I'm curious what we'll be saying about the offensive line in front of him after that, and how concerned we will be about his, going through the rest of the season if he's worried about somebody at his ankles every play.
That offensive line, man, it's going to be hard. And I don't care if you have Joe Burrow as your quarterback, Vince Young as your quarterback, Michael Vick of Virginia Tech as your quarterback. I don't care who it is. If your offensive line is consistently struggling to block the guys across from them, and the guys across from you are not up to, or maybe we overestimated and overpredicted what the Buckeyes offensive line was going to be, it's going to make things hard for the quarterback. For Kyle McCord, though, my thought, we will get improved quarterback play. And some of those throws that he missed. Now, some of those are reading, like that fourth down play where the interception, like you're going to learn from that, and you're going to not make that mistake numerous times. You may make it again, but it won't be a mistake but if you have that 5 out of 8, if you 8 times, you're not throwing the interception 5 out of 8 or 6 out of 8. Like, you're improving on that. I just think some of those throws that were just on the outside of the receiver's arms, or Julian Fleming, a little bit further than outstretched. Yeah. But if Fleming gets that, if Harrison Jr. has that ball, or gets really just the call has changed, we're viewing McCord's performance a whole lot different. The stats really, what was he, 19 of 30, 230 through the air? I think that might be correct. Bro, first time on the road, a Big Ten game as a starter. That's not really that bad.
113 degrees on the field. And Jay, you said it, but the truth is, 2 plays, and we're sitting here being like, man, good start. They meet the spread, all these things. Like, I do understand. That's what I'm saying. I'm not being too I just want to be clear. All of my critique is on the coaching staff, because your job is before week 1. Now the players kick in. If McCord's not better this week, then some of it's on him, and blah, blah, blah. But that month leading up to the first game is when your coaches have to do their job and make it easier on you. And like I say, I watched some of these other first starts around the country. I concentrated more on the replacement quarterbacks around the country for these good teams than I did anything else, and most of them killed it. To watch Milroe down there in Alabama looked like he'd been there for 3 years. You watch Shedeur Sanders out there in Colorado against TCU, didn't flinch. Like, they just had a different mentality. And I know there's a pressure on McCord that none of us could explain. Like, it's unfair, it's ridiculous. But that's just the reality of when you say, yes, I'll go to Ohio State, you're saying, yes, I want to be scrutinized as one of the most important players, not just in the country, in the world. Like, you have the biggest fan base in the world, you have the high expectations. You're just one dude that's the focal point of it. I don't have any idea, but I'm not cut that way, and that's why I'm not the quarterback at Ohio State. we're going to find out a lot about McCord this week, even against Youngstown State. Like I said, first 3 drives is all I care about. I need to know what they look like. Then we can start working on stuff.
Guys, we got to hear a lot about offense, coaching, Ryan Day, Cal McCord so far. What do we need to see from the Buckeyes defense tomorrow? We'll dive into that next on Locked on Buckeyes. This episode is brought to you by Gametime. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. Gametime is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. Forget planning months in advance. Gametime has deals right up to the day of the event. The Gametime guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. The college football season is here, and this season, Locked On is kicking up our coverage with Locked On College Football Kickoff Live. Each Friday, Locked On will go live from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern on every Locked On College YouTube channel. College Football Kickoff Live will cover playoff implications, the conference rivalry games, and go in-depth like only Locked On can, including insight and analysis from our stable of Locked On College hosts, covering their team every day. Find Locked On College Football Kickoff Live every Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time on any Locked On College YouTube channel. You won't want to miss it. Jeff, I don't think either of us want to miss what might happen by the Buckeyes defense on Saturday. Really good Big Ten opponent, cool. Road game, cool. First game of the season, you don't give up a touchdown. You only give up 1 score. That's really good, bro. Indiana's offense was not that good. However, if Indiana opened up the playbook just a tad, if they felt like they could, they probably could have scored 10 to 13 to 14 points because they did have some weapons up there. They decided not to try to use them. But this defense, though, I do think, and I understand it's Indiana, I understand it's Youngstown State, but a building block and a way to build confidence, Jeff, if they come out tomorrow and only give up 1 score again, and that score is a field goal, not a touchdown, we're looking at a defense that could be good this year.
Yeah, I liked it. And again, I want to be full disclosure. All we keep saying is that we need to see the defense better. We need to see the defense better. I agree with you. Like, as I watched them, like, Indiana had no intentions on this game being close, and we're trying to drag this out. I don't know if I'm an Indiana fan, it's a way worse week. Like, there was disorganized. I don't know what they was running, sort of a veer, option attack at some point, but whatever. They did keep it close, and if a miracle could have happened, they got big questions at quarterback. But all you can ask from your defense is to just do what's in front of you. What I liked is they attacked. The best thing I saw was a lot of hits, even on yard, and catches and stuff, behind the first down markers, really getting to the guy and getting them down to the ground and forcing third downs and longer second downs. Like, that's what we've been waiting for, instead of missed tackles or misreads or, guys being way too far out of the play. I don't know what to make of the outside of the coverage on the outside. Like, I don't think I can grade the cornerbacks on this game. Like, I'll give them credit for, like, not getting blown up, but I really don't know what those quarterbacks were going to do. The defensive line, again, like, they got decent push, and they didn't get pushed around, but they still just, like, the explosion, the getting the knocking the ball out of the quarterback's hands, things like that still just wasn't quite there. It was more of a tackling clinic. So if anything, what I'll say I saw from the Buckeyes defense is they tackled better and they attacked pretty well, took good angles, like things like that. That's gonna come up. Things would have saved us. Honestly, there's a couple tackles, and we won't talk about last year, but I'm just saying, like, so there were things to take off of, but the Indiana's offense was just so mediocre to bad that, I don't want to take too much away. And tomorrow it's going to be the same thing again. It's just going to be tackle what's in front of you. Don't give up stupid long plays. And then we're still not going to know what you're made of until, Notre Dame. Like, that's just its point. But all they could do is what they did. I'm still not super comfortable on the outside yet. I don't know that the linebacking core is great. National caliber. And here's how many times we said it. It's hard for me to watch Alabama and Georgia, and then watch the Buckeyes and go, yeah, they're the same. Like they're just not yet. We're just not at that point. I don't know. And I don't know how it's going to change or when it's going to change, but that's the discussion we had earlier in the summer about Mr. Day. But this is about this week's game. So just tackle everybody in front of you. Don't do anything dumb. Maybe score a touchdown. This is a game where a defense could steal a touchdown and have some fun. But I just there's not a lot to learn unless I don't know anything about Youngstown State. But maybe though, if they're a team that runs like kind of a wacky offense, see how the Buckeyes adjust to it and the confusion. And so look, here's what I look for: tackling and communication between the guys on the field is what I can watch.
Tackling, communication. If I want to go by position, I'm going to go up front. Not really tackle. If I just want to see the defensive ends get home, and I don't care what defensive end it is. I don't care if it's a freshman or if it's a 6-year senior. Now I don't believe they have any 6-year seniors, 6-year seniors at defensive end, but you kind of get the gist. Like somebody get home. Like we saw defensive tackles get home. I think multiple got home, got sacks last week. Just get there. Make plays behind the line of scrimmage, tip balls, the things that you would expect from just a good college defensive end. I'm not saying like an elite guy, like a good college defensive end or above average college defensive end. You expect them to tip some balls every now and then. Just do the things that they're not crazy to expect. They're just things that we should expect from you. Linebackers, though, discipline. And I understand if there's another team that you come out, you say, oh, it's another wacky offense. A year ago, those are the things that kind of gashed the Buckeyes. Well, occasionally. Some things gash the Buckeyes. But you really got exposed like, hey, like athletic quarterback, Maryland, Talea, like, oh, wait, we don't really understand how to defend this guy. So I'm looking at them saying, just play sound football. But also, this is a game to work on your instincts. It's going to be hard because maybe speed-wise, it'll speed up over the next few weeks, but you can start working on your instincts and confirming, hey, I thought this was going to happen. This is what happened, and I instinctually reacted to what I thought was going to happen because it happened. So I'm not really trying to, like, they did what you had to do. Like, you only give up 3 points, you're probably going to win every single game. Now, I don't think it's going to happen every single week. But, Jeff, I do think this defense, though, as we're almost up out of time, I do think this defense can have another game where they only give up 3 points or maybe only a touchdown, 7 or 3, or maybe even I don't want to say shutout. That's hard. That's really hard in college football, but it is possible. Jeff, do you have any last comments or thoughts about this game tomorrow?
No, that's pretty much it, man. I think, I'll just piggyback on what you said. This game is about learning to trust your instincts and make things muscle memory and reactionary. These are the weeks when you have to learn that. Like if you're a linebacker and you're keying on the guard, whatever you're supposed to do it quickly and without thinking. That's what's going to make you better, because when the games get tough and you're tired and, the national championship's on the line, Big Ten's on the line, like that's when you got to be able to do that stuff without thinking. So like, I'm not as worried much about the outcome as I am how each player does his job and do the coaches, instill that in them. Cause we're going to learn a lot about the Buckeyes this week, more than most people think you could. We should be learning what we learned last week. It's going to be, it's more interesting than people think.
Jeff, it's been fun having you back on the show, man. Look forward to doing this down the road. If you could let everyone know where they can follow you on Twitter and maybe kind of hint at any shows you're going to be on in the future, because you've been a busy man.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot for a semi-retired podcaster. Just always at jhunt006 on X/Twitter, whichever you're calling it now. You can find me on Facebook, either at Jeff Hunt or at Jeff Needs Sports. Always doing work with the Off the Ball Network. We got some really cool stuff now that football season's picking up. I'll be on a lot of shows there. I don't have my own show going right now, but I consider everything we do at the Off the Ball Network, my show and part of my family. So follow Off the Ball Network, follow at jhunt006. And I repost and keep up with everything we're doing. And again, thanks to Locked On and thanks to Jay for having me on. This is a highlight of my week. And as usual, I feel better about going into the next game than I do before I talk to Jay. He gets me ready to go, resets me, and it's go time.
It's a therapy session that I don't get paid for, guys. I wish I did, but
Yeah,
that may be an occupation down the road. You can follow me on Twitter or X at jstevens07. Send all of your emails to jstevens317@gmail.com. One more thing, I forgot to mention this earlier in the show. There will be a live post-game show on YouTube, the Locked On Buckeyes YouTube page. I'll be instantly reacting to what we watch tomorrow. Will it be a good show? Will it be good things we react to? Will it be bad things? The game's tomorrow at 12. The Buckeyes will play the football, and we, all of us together, will react to the Buckeye football game. Hopefully, it's a 2-0 outcome. The Buckeyes move on to 2-0, not 1-1. If it's a 1-1 at the end of the game, oh, man, I'll be fired up, and you'll want to see Jay light on fire tomorrow during that live post-game show. Out of here on a Friday, guys. I'll see you next time.